Welcome back, Ram fans. Going to share my quick reaction to the Rams 13-9 win over the Los Angeles Chargers at SoFi Stadium, preseason game number 2, Saturday evening. And the Rams seem to be developing a personality on defense, keeping teams out of the end zone, giving up 7 field goals over 2 games, and they're finding a way to get one touchdown a game, one big touchdown a game, just enough to win. And they did it again, and good thing to see. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is go over the things that I hope to see going into this game. There are 4 things on offense, 4 things on defense. The first thing I wanted to see on offense was some steadiness, some improvement from Stetson Bennett after a 4-interception game against the Cowboys last week. And I think we did. I think overall it was a slightly better performance from Stetson Bennett. He finished 17 for 31 for 213 yards early in the game, really missing on some passes, throwing behind wide receivers and tight ends. Hunter Long must have been pretty frustrated. I think he had 2 or 3 opportunities, but Stetson threw behind him in each case. And, that throw in the end zone, the interception, you have to think about it this way, 4th down, you got to throw the ball. If no one's open, you got to get rid of it. You got to do something. It's much better than taking a sack. So, you got to put some of that on Stetson. But, hey, was anyone open on that play? I'm not sure. I'll have to find out what Ian has to say on it. But I wouldn't call that a horrible play. 4th down, 4th and goal, trying to get into the end zone. You throw an interception. What else you going to do? Run around until you get sacked, throw the ball up in the air, hope someone catches it, that type of thing. It's a preseason game, not the best look. But overall, it's certainly better than last week. Do I feel comfortable with Stetson Bennett coming in as the Rams' backup in weeks 1 or 2 at this point? Not quite there, but I feel a little bit better. And the other thing I wanted to see from our offense is Zach Evans. I wanted him to get some snaps, and that certainly happened. The Rams really had no choice, especially after Boston Scott. I think he got hammered pretty good picking up that blitz on the one play. So Zach ends up with 16 rushes for 62 yards and looked pretty good. There was a lot of plays where he was just running into a wall. It looked like it didn't really create very well, but then he also had some nice runs. Is he going to make this team? Not so sure. I really think the Rams need to pick up another running back for this 3rd preseason game, though. We were down to Zach, really, and then Boston Scott came back, fortunately. I don't know what the Rams would have done if Zach, remember, he walked off, looked like he got dinged up a little bit in the upper body, I'm guessing. So we had 2 running backs that were prepared to play, they were planning on playing, and both of them left the game for short periods of time. Pick up another running back, guys. The third thing I wanted to see was offensive line domination. Now, last week they played really good, but, they're playing against second stringers themselves. So if we really want to get excited about Logan Bruss and Zach Thomas and these guys, Warren McClendon, AJ Akuri, coming in and if someone goes down, one of the starters goes down, they can really step in and play well. They need to dominate as a unit against these second stringers. And I thought they really did. They did very well against the pass rush. They protected very well. I wouldn't say they dominated, but they kept Stetson Bennett pretty clean. The running game, hit or miss, really. There was times where we were getting no movement along the front there. But, so I think we fall short of offensive line domination, but I still feel pretty good about these second stringers. And the 4th thing I wanted to see, I called it, hey, it's X time, Xavier Smith time. Let's see what he can do in the return game and receiving. And he had a pretty darn good game. 5 catches for 45 yards, had a really nice return. And this is evident of the fact that, I hate to say it, but Tutu Atwell may very well be expendable. Our receiving group is pretty darn good. Tyler Johnson still looking good. Jordan Whittington was out there. I don't know why. He was actually our leading receiver, 5 catches for 52 yards. I was surprised we saw him at all. When we got J.J. Lopp and some other guys that can step forward, as we saw. No more Jordan Whittington plays. I loved watching him play, but I'd rather he took a seat at this point. But back to Xavier, he's proven, I think, that he can take over return duties, and he's proven that he can be a fourth or fifth wide receiver as well. What did I want to see on the defense? I wanted to see this edge rusher battle continue. And you know what I think we saw? I think we saw evidence that Nick Hampton has made this roster as the fifth edge rusher. We have Byron Young, Jared Verse, Brennan Jackson, and Michael Hoyt, and you can add Nick Hampton to that group. Now we saw O'Shawn Mathis, Zach Van Valkenburg out there a lot. Keir Thomas played a heck of a lot, and we didn't really put the quarterback under a lot of duress like we did last week. A little bit, but not much. I think Carlos Watkins had the sack, the newly acquired defensive lineman. So the battle along the edge may be over. Are they going to carry a 6-1? I don't know, man. It's going to be a numbers game at the end here. I think we may have our 5 edge rushers at this point. And what else did I want to see? I wanted to see the cornerbacks and the safeties. I wanted to see those battles progress as well, see if anybody emerges and if any players take a step back. And we did see some separation, I think. A couple players doing pretty well, a couple guys that we have to be concerned about. I'll talk about that in the next segment. We learned a few things about our cornerbacks and safeties, and that's what we were hoping to see. It's not all good, but hey, it's preseason. That's what these games are for. And I wanted to see some this inside linebacker battle settle down a little bit, at least maybe get some ideas of what the Rams are thinking. And you know what? Jake Hummel, Omar Spates, and Neal all played really well. And this battle is going to continue in training camp, I think. You know, Hummel has proven that he's a great open field tackler. He can cover wide receivers. He did just about everything right in this game. And then Omar Spates comes in and he's flying around, knocking people around, covering receivers, making tackles. Hey, maybe they both end up making it. Now, the announcers called Roseboom's name once. By the way, this was the Chargers announcing team. They were wrong. It wasn't Roseboom, it was Neal. But I'm pretty sure, I thought I saw number 56 out there earlier. I'm probably wrong. I'll have to go back and look. Wanted to get this out as quickly as possible, though. So the other two things I wanted to see in general, and I think I nailed this. You know, I think this Chargers offense is not the best, to put it mildly, and I think they're going to struggle even with their first teamers out there. And I wanted this Rams defense to shut them down, and I was hoping under 10 points at the most, and they did it. Held them to 9 points, 3 field goals. And I obviously wanted to see something from Joshua Carty that puts my concerns to rest a little bit. And we did. He hit 2 field goals, one of them a 48-yarder. He pushed the 50-yarder right, but I'm okay. I'm good with where we're at with Joshua Carty at this time. Would have been really nice if he had hit the 50-yarder. He had the distance, just started it right, and it didn't come back. So those are the items I wanted to see, I was hoping to see, and that's basically what happened. Kind of learned a lot about our team. There was a few things where, I need to see more. We'll have to see more. And it's a lot of this is going to be settled in camp, not even in these preseason games. So we're not going to see everything we want to see in these preseason games. We're not going to get all the answers. We just get some clues, maybe to what's going to go down come cut down day. Okay, whose stock is up after this game? Quick reaction. Ian and Paul are going to be looking at tape, and we'll have a roundtable about this, and we'll get more details, better insights based on what Ian and Paul see. But hey, you know what? Our wide receiver room is pretty darn good. I think our 4th, 5th, and 6th wide receivers might have been better than anybody that the Chargers could have put out there today. And McConkey's out there, the rookie Simi from UCLA, looked really good, but this is a really good wide receiver group. You start with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Tyler Johnson, Xavier Smith. Man, I'd be comfortable with any three of these guys. I want Kupp and Puka out there, obviously, but if you had to throw any one of these other guys out there with them, we'd be in good shape. If we had to throw two of them out there and roll with Kupp and two of those guys, or Puka and two of those guys, we'd be in okay shape. That's how I feel about our wide receiver room. And I feel like our inside linebackers, Ernest Jones sounds like he's going to be okay. Christian Roseboom is our number 2 guy. Troy Reeder has apparently made this roster, and we have some options here backing those guys up. I'm really impressed with how Hummel and Spates are playing, especially. Jalen McCullough, I think his stock is up, continues to play well. He just shows up, doesn't he? And I already mentioned Joshua Carty took a minor step forward, one step forward into establishing himself as a reliable NFL kicker. Need to see a lot more, though. Who else? Carlos Watkins, our newly acquired defensive lineman. He's got a real shot at making this team. We're a little thin as far as the backups go. Corey Durden, Deshaun Johnson. Tyler Davis did play early in this game, which surprised me. So we'll have to see what happens with Carlos Watkins. I think he has a good chance of making this team. And Jason Taylor kind of stood out a little bit to me. Guy we kind of forget about. Second-year safety, really competitive back there. But he did step up on a couple plays, had a couple pass breakups and some tackles. Again, this is just a quick reaction. I'll have to go back and look. I'm probably going to watch a lot of this game again over the course of tomorrow and see what I see. And we'll share that during our roundtable. And Zach Evans, again, there were times where he maybe needed to be a little bit more patient, but as the game wore on, he was sprinkling in some really productive runs there. So you have to be happy about that. Who am I down on? Well, unfortunately, Trey Tomlinson, 3rd and 19, and to bite on that move and then commit the penalty and almost gave up a big touchdown, not a good look. I think Cam McCutcheon continues to struggle as well. These are guys that are, working themselves. Tomlinson's probably working himself onto the bubble, and McCutcheon may have already worked himself off the bubble on the negative side. Ethan Evans, man, not a good look, not a great day for our punter. And our run blocking still leaves something to be desired. Zach Evans did have some productive runs, but there are a few plays where our offensive linemen were getting pushed back from the line of scrimmage, no movement at all. We were losing that battle too many times, I thought. But those are the things on the downside. Not a long list, but a few things to be concerned about. And I'm not going to throw too much shade on these players and tell you guys have just blown their chances of making this roster. But I think the guys I mentioned did not help their cause. I mean, Ethan Evans isn't going to get cut, but maybe he needs to, get out of the weight room and work on his punting. That's all I'm going to say about that. Go over some quick stats and some final thoughts. Whittington, as I said, our leading receiver, 5 catches for 52 yards. J.J. Lopp, the big touchdown reception, was at 47 yards from Bennett. He ended up with 2 catches for 50 yards. Good for him. How cool is that? Maybe his last time, he'll probably get some opportunities next week. But if it is his last catch in the NFL, good for him. That's pretty cool. And Xavier Smith, 5 catches for 45 yards. Omar Spates was our leading tackler, 7 combined tackles, followed by Jacob Hummel. He had 4 combined. Team stats, Rams held the Chargers to 259 total yards. Not bad. Rams only had 338 themselves. So that's my quick reaction to this Rams-Chargers game. Rams win 13-9. Joshua Carty has a couple field goals. Stetson Bennett connects with J.J. Lopp. You know what? Going into this game, I might have called him J.J. Lapp but the Chargers announcers were calling him Lop, so I'm running with that. JJ Lop. JJ Lop with a big touchdown reception. Rams come out with a 13-9 win, and they move on to joint practices with the Texans and a final preseason game with the Texans. We will be back Tuesday night, Wednesday morning with our next roundtable with Ian and Paul. We'll do a much deeper dive into this game. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and to the podcast. Please subscribe. Out here from Rams Up.